AI worked for 17 years as a nurse in a closed psychiatric ward, dealing with patients in a catatonic state, severe selective mutism, refractory schizophrenia, and severe dissociative disorders. These are people who have stopped speaking, who have stopped reacting to the outside world, but who, I discovered, are still very much alive inside. My name is Beatriz, I am 46 years old, and I have cared for more than 400 patients in a state of profound silence. Some of them returned. And when they returned, they told me things that completely changed what I thought I knew about the human mind. Things that I saw happen, that I witnessed with my own eyes, and that made me question where mental illness ends and where something else begins. Something bigger. The seventh story happened to me. And I was never the same again. If you're feeling this way with me right now, stop everything, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below about where you're listening from and what time it is there, because the next story will change everything forever. The first case that made me realize something was different was that of Gabriel, a 28-year-old who had become completely mute after a severe psychotic episode. He hadn't spoken for 7 months. He didn't react to verbal stimuli, didn't look at anyone, and would sit in his chair in his room, staring at the white wall for hours on end. The medical team had tried everything, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, occupational therapy, even electroconvulsive therapy. Nothing worked. He was absent. I was responsible for his medication. Every morning, at 7:15, would go into room 3, where he stayed, and place the pills on the small table beside him. He never looked. I had to put them in his mouth, give him water, wait for him to swallow. It was mechanical. He would swallow, but without any presence. It was like caring for an empty body. On a Tuesday in August, the 23rd, at 7:18 in the morning, I was doing my usual procedure. I put the pill in his mouth, gave him the glass of water. He swallowed. And then, out of nowhere, he grabbed my wrist. It wasn't aggressive. It was firm, but gentle. I froze. He had never done that before. I looked at him. He was looking directly into my eyes. And for the first time in 7 months, he spoke. His voice came out hoarse, weak, but clear. I was outside. My heart raced. I asked where. He let go of my wrist, looked out the window, and said, I was with them, the ones who are gone now. I felt a chill down my spine. I called the psychologist. She came running. Gabriel repeated, I was outside. I saw you here, but I was there too. The psychologist, Dr. Marcia, asked who they were. He said, my brother, he died when I was 5, drowned in the club's pool. He was there. He grew up. He's 17 now, the way he would be if he had lived. Marcia wrote everything down. She asked what else he had seen. Gabriel started to cry. It wasn't a cry of despair. It was a cry of longing. He said, it was calm there. There was no noise, no pain. My brother held my hand and said it wasn't my time yet, that I needed to go back. He wiped away his tears and looked at me, but I didn't want to go back. It was better there. Much better. In the following days, Gabriel returned completely. He started talking again, eating on his own, and participating in therapy. The team was shocked. 7 months of absolute silence and, suddenly, an almost total recovery. But what impressed me most was what he told me 2 weeks later, when he was about to be discharged. He called me into the hallway, held my hand, and said, thank you for not leaving me alone when I was away. I saw you every day, putting in my medicine, talking to me, even if I didn't respond, I saw you. And that helped me want to come back. I had never thought about it. That he could be seeing me, hearing me, even without reacting. But he was. He saw everything. And he was in 2 places at the same time. Here, in that motionless body, and there, with his brother, in a place he described as home. But I still had no idea what was to come. The second story was about Mrs. Irene, a 73-year-old woman diagnosed with advanced dementia and severe dissociative episodes. She had stopped speaking completely a year and a half ago. She would lie in bed, eyes open, but lifeless. Her children would come to visit, but she didn't recognize anyone. It was painful to see. They would cry, hold her hand, beg for a sign. Nothing. I took care of her every day. I changed her bed linens, bathed her, and carefully combed her hair. She had beautiful, fine white hair, which I held back with a light blue hair clip that her daughter had brought. I always talked to her while I cared for her. I would say, "Good morning, Mrs. Irene, it's a beautiful day outside, the sun is shining." I never received a reply. But I continued. One Thursday afternoon, at 3:40 on the wall clock, I was adjusting her pillow when I felt her squeeze my hand. I looked. She was looking at me. Really looking at me. And then she said, in a clear, firm voice, without hesitation, "Thank you for taking care of me while I was away." I froze. I called her daughter, who was in the hallway. The daughter came running in, shouting, "Mom? Mom, are you talking?" Mrs. Irene looked at her daughter and said, "My dear daughter. I saw your father. He's waiting for me. But I'm not going yet. Not yet." The daughter fell to her knees beside the bed, crying, hugging her mother. Mrs. Irene stroked her daughter's hair and said, "Don't cry, my love. I was in a beautiful place. So beautiful. Your father is well. He's happy. And when it's my time, I'll go there again." The daughter asked, "But Mom, were you here the whole time?" Mrs. Irene smiled. "I was here, but I was also there. It's hard to explain. I saw you, I heard you, but it was as if I were watching from afar, from another place. And in that other place, there was light, there was peace, and there was your father." I stood there, silent, trying to process it. Donna Irene lived for another 2 months. She started talking again, eating on her own again, smiling again. Her daughter told me later, it was a gift, having my mother back, even if only for a short time. And it truly was. Because when Donna Irene finally passed away, she did so peacefully, sleeping soundly, with a smile on her face. Her daughter called me to tell me. She said, she went to my father. I know she did. And I knew it too. Because Mrs. Irene had told me. She had been there with him while her body was here. And when the time really came, she simply left. Back home. But nothing prepared me for what I myself was about to experience. The third case was that of Ricardo, a 42-year-old engineer who suffered a psychotic episode after extreme stress at work and the loss of his wife in a car accident. He entered a complete catatonic state. He didn't speak, didn't eat on his own, didn't move. He sat in the armchair in room 7, staring straight ahead without blinking. It was terrifying. He looked like a statue. He remained like that for 4 months. The family was devastated. His brother came every day, spending hours by his side, talking, showing him photos, trying to reach him. Nothing worked. The medical team discussed the case every week. Some thought he would never recover. Others wanted to try new protocols. But nothing changed. Until one Friday night, at 10:47, I was on night duty, making my rounds, when I heard a noise coming from room 7. It was crying. A low, but intense cry. I ran there. Ricardo was sitting on the floor, in the corner of the room, hugging his knees, crying. I knelt beside him and asked what had happened. He looked at me, his eyes red and full of tears, and said, "She sent me back." I asked who. He said, "My wife. I was with her. She was alive there. She was fine. And she said I needed to go back, that it wasn't my time yet." He sobbed loudly. "But I don't want to go back. I want to stay with her." I held his hand. I called the on-call psychiatrist. She came and talked to him for over an hour. Ricardo explained that during those 4 months, he wasn't here. He was with his wife, in a place he described as, between worlds. He said, I saw you taking care of me, I saw my brother crying, but I couldn't come back, because I was stuck there with her. His wife had said, according to him, that it wasn't his place yet, that he had things to do here, that they would meet again, but not now. He described the details. He said his wife was wearing the yellow dress she wore on their first date, 20 years earlier. He said she no longer had the cut on her face from the accident. He said she was whole, beautiful, at peace. And that she had said, I love you, but you need to live. Live for me. And when your time comes, I'll be here waiting for you. Ricardo came back. It took a few more months of intensive treatment, but he came back. He left the closed ward, went to the open ward, and then was discharged. He went back to work, he went back to living. He sent me a letter a year later. It said, I know it sounds crazy, but I know it wasn't delusion. I was with her. And that gave me the strength to continue. Thank you for believing in me. I've kept that letter to this day. Because I believe in him. I believe in all of them. And there was still much more to happen. The fourth story is the most difficult to tell because it involves a child. His name was Lucas, 9 years old, with severe nonverbal autism, episodes of complete disconnection from reality. He had suffered a serious trauma at age 6 when he witnessed the violent death of his mother in a robbery. Since then, he stopped speaking. He entered a state of profound isolation. He would curl up in the corner of his room, rocking back and forth incessantly for hours on end. He didn't react to anyone. Not even his father, who came every day. Lucas's father was a broken man. He had lost his wife and, in a way, his son as well. He sat on the floor next to Lucas, tried to hug him, tried to sing the songs the boy used to love. Nothing. Lucas wouldn't look at him, wouldn't stop rocking. It was as if he had completely disconnected from the world. I offered to spend more time with Lucas. I would go to his room outside of work hours, sit on the floor, and just be there in silence. I didn't try to talk to him. I just stayed present. I read books in a low voice, drew, let him go at his own pace. I did this for 3 months. One Tuesday afternoon, at 4:22, I was sketching in my notebook when Lucas stopped rocking. He simply stopped. I looked at him. He was looking at me. And then he said, in a sweet, clear child's voice, she said you're cool. My heart almost stopped. I asked who. He said, my mom. She comes to see me every day. I called his father. I called the psychologist. Lucas repeated, my mother comes to see me. She stays here, sitting next to me. She says she wasn't angry with me for not saving her. He started to cry. She said it wasn't my fault. That she loves me. That she's always with me. The father hugged his son, crying so hard he could barely breathe. The psychologist, with tears in her eyes, asked Lucas if he saw anyone else. He said, there are other people too. There's a light in the corner, and they stay close to the light. My mother stays closer to me. The father asked, is she here now? Lucas looked to the right corner of the room and said, yes. She's smiling. Lucas started talking again. Slowly, little by little, but he did. He began interacting with his father, with the staff, with me. He left the intensive care unit 6 months later. But he kept saying he saw his mother. Not every day, but frequently. The staff discussed at length whether this was healthy or an extension of the trauma. But Lucas was improving. He was happy. And then the psychologist said something that struck me, maybe he needs this now. Maybe it's his way of processing the loss. Or maybe, he really is seeing her. Lucas's father contacted me before he was discharged from the hospital. He said, I don't know if it's real or if it's his mind trying to protect itself, but I saw my son come back. And if it was her who helped, then I am eternally grateful. I said, I think it was her. And I still believe that to this day. But there was still something impossible to explain. The fifth case challenged everything I thought I knew about the human brain. It was Carla, 36 years old, with severe paranoid schizophrenia, recurrent suicide attempts, involuntarily hospitalized after a serious episode. She went into total selective mutism after 3 weeks of hospitalization. She simply stopped talking. She stopped eating. She stopped reacting. She lay there, eyes open, but absent. The team tried everything. Latest generation antipsychotic medication, intensive therapy, 24-hour monitoring. Nothing. She was empty. 2 weeks later, she had an unexplained cardiac arrest. She had no history of heart problems. The emergency team performed resuscitation. It was 5 minutes of CPR. They managed to reverse it. She came back. And when she woke up, 12 hours later, she looked at me, who was monitoring her vital signs, and said, "I know your name, Beatriz. I heard you talking to me when I was away." I froze. She continued, "I was on the other side. I saw my body down here, I saw the doctors, I saw you crying in the corner of the room." I had cried. I couldn't help it. She was young, she had her whole life ahead of her, and to see her there, lifeless, being resuscitated, it was too much. But I was in the corner, with my back turned, nobody had seen. Nobody, except her. She described everything. He said he had seen the cardiologist, Dr. Renata, trip over the monitor cord. True. He said one of the nurses had dropped the scissors on the floor, to the left of the stretcher. True. He said the clock on the wall showed 3:41 when her heart beat again. True. All true. But that wasn't all. She said she had gone to another place. A dark place at first, then bright, very bright. She said, "I saw people there, people I didn't know, but who welcomed me as if they had known me for a long time." She described an immense garden, with flowers she had never seen before, colors she couldn't name. And she said she had seen a light at the center of it all, a light that emanated pure love. Carla came back completely. She overcame her mutism, started eating again, and resumed her therapies. She said the experience had changed her completely. That before she wanted to die, but after seeing that place, she wanted to live. Because now I know that when I truly die, I'll go there. And it's beautiful. But it's not my time yet. I have things to do here. Dr. Renata, who is extremely skeptical, contacted me later. She said, "I don't believe in life after death, but that woman saw things she couldn't possibly see. She was clinically dead. How did she see them?" I said I didn't know. But that I had seen many cases like that. And that, increasingly, I couldn't ignore them. Carla was discharged 3 months later. She went back to school and started volunteering at an NGO. She sent me a message the following year, "Thank you for not judging me when I told you. You were the first person who believed me." I replied, "I will always believe you. And it's true." And there was even more. The sixth case was witnessed by 7 people at the same time, including myself. It was on a Saturday afternoon, in the women's ward, 5 patients in a severe catatonic state, all in separate rooms, with no communication between them. I was on duty with 2 other nurses, Sophia and Daniela, and with the resident psychiatrist, Dr. Camila. At 3:53 p.m., the patient in room 2, Mrs. Helena, began to scream. It wasn't a scream of pain. It was a scream of astonishment. I ran to the room. She was sitting on the bed, pointing to the door, and shouting, "Don't you see? Don't you see her?" I asked who. She said, the girl in white, she's here." I left the room and went to room 3. Julia, another catatonic patient who hadn't spoken for months, was standing, looking at the door, and said, "There's a girl here." I ran to room 5. Mrs. Sonia, who had been mute for a year, said exactly the same thing, "There's a girl here, dressed in white." I called Sophia, Daniela, and Dr. Camila. We went from room to room. 5 patients, 5 different rooms, all saying the same thing. A girl in white. All pointing in the same direction. The hallway. We stood there, the 4 of us, in the hallway, watching. We didn't see anything. But they did. All of them. And what's more, 3 of the 5 patients hadn't spoken to each other in months. How could they be having the same hallucination, at the same time, describing the same thing? Dr. Camila tried to rationalize. She said it could be noise pollution, that one had heard the other scream and reproduced it. But the rooms were soundproof. And the descriptions were identical. Girl, white dress, walking down the hallway, stopping at each door. Mrs. Helena said, she came to pick someone up. And that night, one of the patients in the men's ward, which was upstairs, passed away. Sudden cardiac arrest. No medical explanation. He was 39 years old, stable, medicated, with no comorbidities. He simply died. Sophia, who is a spiritualist, said, she came to get him. Daniela, who is a practicing Catholic, said she had read about angels of death, messengers who come to collect souls. Dr. Camila remained silent. She had no explanation. I didn't have it either. But I couldn't ignore it any longer. 5 patients, at the same time, seeing the same thing. And a few hours later, an unexpected death. Coincidence? Maybe. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. And then came the moment that changed everything for me. 6 months after those incidents, I started having severe panic attacks. Extreme anxiety, shortness of breath, tachycardia. I went to the doctor. They did tests. They said it was accumulated post-traumatic stress. Years caring for patients in deep distress, seeing things I couldn't explain, my body was paying the price. The panic attacks were getting worse. I couldn't work properly anymore. I was afraid to go into the rooms. Afraid to hear the stories. Afraid to see them. I asked for time off. I started intensive therapy. But nothing improved. I was entering a state of disconnection. I could tell. I was drifting away from reality, entering a dark place inside my own mind. One Thursday night, alone in my apartment, I had the worst panic attack of my life. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die. I called the ambulance service. They came. They took me to the hospital. In the emergency room, my heart raced so fast that I went into severe arrhythmia. And then, I passed out. And it was there that I experienced what all my patients had told me. I was outside my body. I saw the doctors working on me. I saw the nurse administering the medication. I saw the monitor showing a straight line. I was dead. Clinically dead. And then I felt it. The same thing they all described. A gentle, warm force pulling me. I looked and saw a light. It wasn't blinding. It was welcoming. It was home. I let myself go. And when I got closer, I saw my mother. She had died 8 years earlier, of cancer. I was with her when she passed away. I held her hand until her last breath. And there she was, in front of me, young, healthy, radiant. She opened her arms and said, "My daughter, you worked so hard, you helped so many people." I ran to her. I hugged her. I smelled her scent. The violet perfume she always wore. I cried. I cried so much. She said, "I know you're tired. But it's not your time yet. You still have so much to do." I said, "Mom, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here with you." She stroked my face and said, "You will come back. And when you come back, you will continue helping people understand that death is not the end. You will tell them what you saw. And they will believe you, because you lived." I felt a sharp pain in my chest. The light began to fade. I screamed, "Mom, no." She smiled and said, I'm always with you, my daughter. Always. And then I woke up. Tube in my throat, monitor beeping, doctors all around. I pulled the tube out, gasping, desperate. The doctor calmed me down. Said I'd had a cardiac arrest, but that everything was all right now. I cried. Not from relief. From longing. Longing for that place. For that peace. For that absolute certainty that everything would be all right. I was hospitalized for 2 days. I went home. I went back to therapy. And 3 months later, I went back to work. But I wasn't the same anymore. I wasn't afraid anymore. I didn't have doubts anymore. I knew. I didn't believe anymore. I knew. Death is not the end. It's just a passage. And on the other side, there is love. There is light. There is acceptance. There are those we love waiting for us. And all those patients who remained silent for months, for years, they were not absent. They were there. In that place between worlds. And many of them returned to tell their stories. Now, when I care for patients in a catatonic state, in muteness, disconnected, I know they are still there. Inside. I know they hear me. I know they see me. And I know that many of them are visiting the other side, talking to those who have already passed, preparing themselves. Some will return. Others will decide to stay. I lost my fear of death. Completely. And I lost my fear of madness too. Because I realized that what we call madness is sometimes just a connection to something that science still can't measure. Something real. Something true. Something that is beyond what our eyes can see. If you've made it this far with me, thank you. Thank you for listening to me, for not judging me, for considering that perhaps, just perhaps, reality is much bigger than we imagine. I don't have all the answers. I don't know why some people manage to access that other place while they're still alive. I don't know why some come back and others don't. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. And I know my mother was there, waiting for me. And when my time truly comes, I will return there. To the light. To the love. To the peace. And I will not be afraid. Not even a little bit. Because I've already been there. I've already seen it. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful that words cannot describe it. Don't be afraid of death. Don't be afraid of silence. Don't be afraid of those who are silent, because they may be hearing things we can't hear. Seeing things we can't see. And when they return, if they return, they will bring messages. Messages of hope. Messages of love. Messages that on the other side, everything is all right. I know. I saw it. And now I live knowing that death is not the end. It's just the beginning of another journey. And my mother is there, waiting. And one day, when it's truly my time, I'll run to her, I'll hug her, and I'll say, "Mom, I told you. I told everyone that there's no need to be afraid." And she'll smile, and she'll say, "I know, my daughter. I always knew. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening. And remember, never underestimate silence. Sometimes, in the deepest silence, the most important conversations are happening. With those who have already gone. With those you are waiting for. With the love that never dies. Don't be afraid. Never be afraid. Because on the other side, there is love. Only love.